What's going on, everyone? Today we're going over Utah's most underrated national park, and that is Capitol Reef National Park. Utah has 5 national parks, commonly referred to as Utah's Mighty Five. They are some of the most beautiful and famed parks in the country. I've spent plenty of time in these parks, but recently Bree and I did another trip to Capitol Reef and really dove deep into lesser known places in the park, and it just blew us away. It has become one of my favorite parks, and today we want to share with you our favorite hikes. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and without further ado, let's dive right in. This is my top 10 hikes in Capitol Reef National Park. First, let's talk about location. Capitol Reef is the middle park of Utah's Mighty Five, with Arches and Canyonlands to the east and Bryce Canyon and Zion to the west. Capitol Reef is definitely the most remote of the 5 parks, so you'll have to drive there whether it's a big Mighty Five road trip or you fly to Salt Lake City and drive down from there. This would be the closest major airport to the park. And for accommodations, your best option is in the town of Torrey. We really enjoyed Capitol Reef Resort Hotel, or you could also wild camp at a handful of places to the eastern side of the park near Caneville and Hanksville. I'd also like to note that this video will be very hiking focused, but I also am working on a 24-hour itinerary and video guide to the park. That one will be more touristy focused, more of an easier trip on how to visit, with scenic viewpoints and places that you can drive to and what to do if you're short on time. So make sure to check that video out if you don't have time for all of the hikes in this video. First up on the list, we have Hickman Bridge, one of the more famous hikes in the park. This is an awesome hiking trail that's very maintained. It is 1.7 miles round trip with about 400 feet of elevation gain. In Capitol Reef, this is my favorite arch hike. The views are amazing on the entire trail and the arch is just beautiful. As you make your way to the 133-foot natural bridge, you'll traverse a trail lined up with junipers and vibrant desert flora, providing ample opportunities for photography and wildlife spotting. The expansive views from the bridge overlook the surrounding red rock formation, making it a serene and memorable experience for hikers of all ages. And then along the same trail for Hickman Bridge, we're going to have our next spot, Navajo Knobs. Both of these places start at the same trailhead, but Navajo Knobs is a few miles further than the arch. On the way to Hickman Bridge, you'll see a fork in the trail where you will continue to Navajo Knobs, and this hike totals to 9.1 miles round trip with 2,150 feet of elevation gain. Navajo Knobs is a great way to get an aerial perspective of the entire park. From the top of the trail, you'll be greeted with amazing views of Capitol Reef's landscapes in every direction. This trail is ideal for hikers who are prepared for a longer full-day outing filled with exploration, breathtaking scenery, and an aerial view above it all. At number 3, we have the Grand Wash Trail. So if slot canyons are your thing, then this trail is for you and it will not disappoint. This 4.7 mile round trip hike takes you through a narrow canyon with walls that soar hundreds of feet above. The entire trail has about 300 to 400 feet of elevation gain, but the gain is subtle and the trail is relatively easy, making it suitable for families and hikers of varying skill levels. As you navigate the canyon, you'll marvel at the sheer scale and intricate formations of the cliffs. The Grand Wash offers a unique perspective of Capitol Reef's geological wonders, providing an awesome adventure and beautiful views at every turn. It's also worth noting that if you don't want to hike the entire trail, then you don't have to. If you only hike 1.5 miles in, you'll get the best views in the narrows section of the trail, which would shorten this hike to about 3 miles round trip. At number 4, we have the Temple of the Sun and Moon in Cathedral Valley. This is likely the most iconic spot in the park, with it being the poster board for most of the photos you'll see of Capitol Reef. It's not on the main park road, so you will need to drive on a rough dirt road to visit. We've made it here in a 4Runner and a GMC Safari Astrovan. The road is washboard for a long ways, but most cars could probably make it about 90% of the way. The road conditions are slightly different every time I've been, and they change with the time of year. The last bit of the drive can get a little bit more intense, so it helps if you have some clearance. And then once you're here, you don't really need to hike unless you want to, because you will park right under the temples. The towering formations are amazing, and if you're up for an early morning, I highly recommend going here for sunrise, as the early sun just beams onto the temples, giving them a vibrant, bright orange glow. And if you do hike at all, I suggest hiking east. With less than a half-mile round trip hike, you'll be greeted with more unique views of the temples. And just a 2-minute drive down the road, make sure to pair this with a visit to Glass Mountain, a stunning mound of selenite crystals. This makes for an unforgettable day. Another gem along the Cathedral Valley Loop is the Gypsum Sinkhole, a fascinating geological feature that plunges over 200 feet into the earth. This impressive sinkhole is a favorite among geology enthusiasts and photographers alike. The hike to Gypsum Sinkhole is relatively short. It was less than a half-mile round trip from our car, but the remote location means you will enjoy a sense of solitude and untouched beauty. While you're exploring, you'll see intricate layers and textures of the rocks, which tell the story of millions of years of geological history. And this is the spot where you want to bring a map and extra supplies or offline maps from your phone, as cell services are extremely limited in this remote area of the park. The Cathedral Valley Loop is a 58-mile scenic drive, and it provides access to these remote areas. And while you may be able to get to Temple of the Sun and Moon in a two-wheel drive vehicle, you will need high clearance to visit Gypsum Sinkhole. And if this is your first time to the channel, make sure to subscribe to see more top 10s, travel guides, cinematic films, and hiking vlogs. Bree and I have been traveling more or less full-time for the last 9+ years and have been creating on YouTube for over 5 years. Subscribing is the easiest way to support us, and it just takes 2 seconds. There's something on the channel for everyone. We have top 10s for every other one of Utah's Mighty 5 parks and so much more. But back to the list, at number 6 we have the Burro Wash Trail. This hike is for the adventurous spirit. Burro Wash offers a thrilling hike through a stunning slot canyon. It's about 6 miles round trip and involves some scrambling and navigating through tight passages, making it best suited for experienced hikers, and there is definitely some route finding in the beginning. All Trails puts this hike at 7.5 miles round trip with about 1,000 feet of elevation gain, but Bree and I only recorded 6 miles with 400 feet of gain. There was a rock that we felt was impassable or just too risky and dangerous to try to climb, so we turned around, but I feel like we honestly saw the best that the trail had to offer, so we were happy turning around where we did. There wasn't a soul in sight. We were actually the only car at the trailhead and had the entire hike to ourselves. Definitely a hike that you want to have offline maps downloaded for. And another bonus of this hike is that you'll get to see Burro Wash Arch, a beautiful rock formation along the trail. And if you'd like more information for this trail specifically, Bree and I have a hiking vlog from here on the channel. And at number 7, we have Headquarters Canyon, a beloved trail for those looking to explore Capitol Reef slot canyons without the extensive commitment of longer hikes like Burro Wash. You will have to drive on a dirt road to get here to the trailhead, but I feel mostly confident that any car could make it, granted if road conditions are more or less the same as when we drove it. All Trails has this one at 2.6 miles round trip with 650 feet of elevation gain, but we recorded 3.4 miles with only 500 feet of gain, if even that much gain. The trail felt mostly flat. The trail winds through narrow, winding passages carved by water and wind over millennia. The canyon's unique geology features colorful sandstone walls and intriguing rock formations. It's a very peaceful and immersive hike. And unlike some of the park's more popular trails, Headquarters Canyon tends to be less crowded, so it's a nice tranquil escape. And make sure to keep an eye peeled for the wall that looks like a massive piece of bacon. We thought that this was such a cool and beautiful rock formation. Next up, we have Strike Valley Overlook via the Nodum Bullfrog Road. Reaching the Strike Valley Overlook is an adventure in itself thanks to the scenic drive along the Burr Trail switchbacks, known for the dramatic winding turns up the mountain. The hike to the Overlook is relatively short but steep, rewarding you with one of the best panoramic views in the park, and a view that I would bet less than 5% of the national park visitors ever see. From the top, you'll gaze out over the expansive water pocket fold and the surrounding valleys, a perfect spot for landscape photography or just simply soaking in the beauty. And as you drive on the road to Strike Valley Trailhead, you will also get to see views from the car of Peekaboo Arch, Trinity Double Arch, and Cheerios Arch. This was such a remote area of Utah that it was hard to believe we were in a commercial national park. To visit here though, it is going to be a big full day outing, mostly because of the long drives. We drove the Nodum Bullfrog Road south along the eastern side of Capitol Reef, and then drove up the Burr Trail switchbacks, and then drove back to Torrey on the west side of the park, passing through the small town of Boulder. I would argue that a two-wheel drive vehicle could make this drive. However, after the Burr Trail switchbacks, you are going to turn off of a road that will take you up to Strike Valley Trailhead, and for this, you definitely need clearance and four-wheel drive because the road is pretty gnarly. And if you don't have four-wheel drive, you can reach the Overlook via a 6.2 mile round trip hike. And next up on the list, we have an easy yet incredibly rewarding hike, the Goosenecks Overlook. The short trail is a must-visit along the main park road, leading to a vantage point with jaw-dropping views of the twisting Fremont River below. The unique meandering river creates a mesmerizing pattern that is especially stunning at sunset when the canyon walls glow with vibrant colors. We really enjoyed this spot. It was a great spot to relax, have an easy outing, and take some awesome sunset photos. The huge canyon below is a view of the park that I had never seen before this last trip. It's such an easily accessible spot, and I can't believe more people don't go to it or talk about it. The Goosenecks Trail is short, and if you'd like, you can also hike another half-mile round-trip trail to Sunset Overlook, which starts at the same trailhead as Goosenecks Overlook. And last up at number 10, we have Cohab Canyon, a hidden treasure located behind the historic Fruta district. This 3.4-mile round-trip hike begins with a steep climb and then quickly levels out into a maze of colorful sandstone canyons and fascinating rock formations. Round trip, it has about 800 feet of elevation gain. And then the trail also has interconnected trails like Cassidy Arch and Frying Pan if you're looking to combo a few hiking trails together. And if you have 2 cars or you're with someone who doesn't want to hike this trail, you can also do this as a shorter point-to-point hike. I wanted to do a trail run on our last morning, so Bree and my dad dropped me off at the trailhead across the street from Hickman Bridge, and then I ran west along the trail, ending in Fruta where they picked me up. But I did also add North Fruta Overlook for a little extra mileage and elevation gain, so the route I did was about 2.5 miles with 600 feet of elevation gain. Before we finish this video, I want to include a quick bonus hike to the list, and that is Cassidy Arch. The trail is 3.1 miles round trip with just under 700 feet of elevation gain. This is the only hike on this list that we have yet to do. We did it on our first few trips to the park. We had it planned for a recent trip, but the main trailhead was closed and we didn't have time for the longer alternate trail route. So this one is still on our list, but this video wouldn't be complete without mentioning Cassidy Arch. Anyways, that is going to wrap up this video. From easy family-friendly walks to challenging adventures for the seasoned hiker, these top 10 hikes provide the perfect way to explore and appreciate everything Capitol Reef has to offer. Remember to pack plenty of water, wear appropriate footwear, and carry a map to ensure a safe hiking experience. And remember to practice leave no trace. Anyways, thanks so much for watching and enjoy your journey through Capitol Reef.